Hi, these comments are for Bilal and I am Michael, so you're on the home stretch, big buddy. You're coming back to the United States to take the TOEFL exam, right? So we've already established your writing is excellent. I think I gave you 30 points out of 30 on the last integrated writing task. And I'm listening to your speaking practice for today. You're completing a full set. Independent speaking task 1, integrated speaking task number 2, 3, and 4. I'm going to listen to evaluate and grade all 4 of these practice tests right now. Okay, so I have the independent speaking rubrics ready, and I have your practice test, so let's see what happens.
Students should be allowed to choose where to sit and to sit in different seats on different days in classes in order to interact with different students and to build stronger relationships.
Okay, so I think the question is, you didn't say it, but when students go into a classroom, should they be forced to stay in the same seats every class, or should they be allowed to move around at will?
I read an article about this topic which points out that students who are allowed to change their locations every day are more sociable and have better communication skills. I experienced this situation when I was a student, as our teacher asked us to sit in different seats every day. So we built stronger relationship that lasted even after graduation.
Okay, so I'm going to put you at, I think it's pretty close. I'm going to say around 25 to 27 points. I might go down slightly after listening to it again. So let's see how you
Students
do
should be
here.
allowed to choose where to sit and to sit in different seats on different days in classes.
Maybe just say students should be allowed to choose to sit in different locations on different days or something. Maybe be a little more concise. And you need to speed up just a little bit faster. You're a little bit slow with your pacing.
In order to interact with different students and to build stronger relationships.
Okay?
I read an article about this topic which points out that students who are allowed to change their locations
You want to say students who are allowed to change. You forgot that change.
every day are more sociable and have better communication skills. I experienced this situation
Maybe here you might say to illustrate, use that transition word to help prepare us for that example that you're now giving.
when I was a student, as our teacher asked us to sit in different seats every day. So we built stronger relationship that
So the teacher allowed us to sit in different seats every day. So we built strong relationships there. So you want to blend those words within those thought groups. And I would pause right before so. You're creating that cause effect type relationship there, probably better with your pacing to make that pause.
lasted even after graduation. Students should be allowed to choose where
Okay, so I think on this one, I think it's close. It's just very close. You're so close to where you want to be. I'm going to put you at, I'm going to say 24 to 26 points on. I'm going to go slightly a little bit lower. So just be careful when you're speaking. Try to get into that groove, where you're putting those 4 to 5 stress words together, you blend them together, then you have a pause, you have that other 4 or 5 stress words together, followed by another pause. But overall, good control over your language use, I think vocabulary and grammar, just maybe some minor delivery problems. Let's listen to your integrated speaking task number 2. So we have reading, listening, speaking, campus related. All right, here we go, buddy.
According to an article in the campus newspaper, a student suggests that university make textbook list available earlier to give students chance to find less expensive books and also to start work on their new courses early. The man in the listening passage agreed with this proposal. He believes that students could save some money by finding these books online or finding other used textbooks which are cheaper. Moreover, he believes that
Good transition word.
students will be busy when the courses start, so they can keep up with their study. So if these textbooks are available earlier, they will have more free time to be well prepared for the coming courses before the start of the courses. That's why the man agrees with this proposal.
Maybe before the start of the school term or the semester, something like that might be a little bit better to say. This is a pretty good one, I think. I like this. I'm gonna put you at about 25 to 27 points on it. I think it's possible you could get a score of 4 here. Let me listen to it one more time.
According to an article in the campus newspaper, a student suggests that university make textbook list available early
So a student suggests, maybe pause, a student suggests that the university make textbooks less available for their students.
to give students chance to find less expensive books and also to start work on their new courses early.
Okay.
The man in the listening passage agreed with this proposal.
You want to say agrees, not agreed. It sounds like you're making past tense there, and then the next reporting verb after that is present tense. So don't go back and forth between present and past. It's better to keep your reporting verbs in the present tense.
He believes that
Yeah, notice he believes.
students could save some money by finding these books online or finding other used
Good parallel structure. Find these online or finding them, blah, blah.
textbooks which are cheaper. Moreover, he believes that students will be busy when the courses start, so they can keep up with their study. So if these textbooks are available earlier, they
So if this or if these, let's go back to what you just said. Let me list. Probably
when the
pronunciation.
courses start, so they can keep up with their study.
So that they can
So if
keep up
this
with their studies. So with when you have the auxiliary verb like a modal, you say like I can go to the store or I can't go to the store. If you put stress on the modal, that means it's negative. If you don't put stress on it, put more stress on the main verb, it means it's positive.
textbook are available earlier, they will have more free time to be well prepared for the coming courses before the start of the courses. That's
Before the start of the semester or the school term. And they'll be better prepared. So be careful of the P, pronounce it with a little bit more air. I like it. I mean, I think that you could score high on this. I'm going to put you at 25 to 27. I think it's entirely possible you could get a score of 26 on this one. You're pretty relaxed. You had maybe just some minor delivery issues, but overall you had a nice structure, organization to your ideas. You only had one language use issue, so very strong on the speaking. Yeah, if I look at the integrated speaking task, I think speech is generally clear, fluid, and sustained, right? I think you have good control, basic and complex grammar. So I think it's possible you could get 26 on this. All right, thank you. Let's listen to your next integrated speaking practice test number 3. So we have reading, listening, speaking, academic. All right, here we go.
an academic concept called procedural memory, and the professor in the lecture gives his personal experience to further illustrate the idea. Procedural memory, according to the passage, is the memory of performing a particular action which becomes automatic with practice and lasts for years. The professor in the lecture gives his own experience that when he was a boy, he took guitar lessons and his teacher taught him how to hold the guitar and where to place his fingers. After years of practicing, he was able to pick his guitar and play music without thinking about these steps. After college, he stopped playing for years, But one day he found his old guitar and he was surprised that he still knew how to play guitars.
Yeah, I would say he was surprised that he could still remember that. Say remember because it kind of ties back to memory, procedural memory. So kind of make sure near the end of, as you discuss the listening passage, you kind of tie it back to that reading passage. I think on this one, I'm going to say 24 to 26. I think you have maybe just some minor inconsistencies with grammatical word endings, I think, some minor problems there. But overall, I think it was pretty good, and you had pretty good delivery.
The
Let's listen
reading
again.
passage explains
So the reading passage, you want to make sure you pronounce that P with more
an
air.
academic concept called procedural memory, and the professor in the lecture gives his personal experience to further illustrate the idea.
Good.
Procedural memory, according to the passage, is the memory of
No, procedural memory is. You didn't put that verb in there. Be careful. Don't miss your verbs. Or is defined as,
performing a particular action which become automatic with
which becomes, right? So I think you want to make that the third person S there.
practice and lasts for years. The professor in the lecture gives his own experience that when he was a boy, he took guitar lessons and his teacher teached him how to hold the guitar
His teacher taught him, you want to say. Let's go back to that one more time.
for years. The professor in the lecture gives his own experience that when he was a boy, he took guitar lessons and his teacher
Maybe as a boy, when he took,
teached him how to hold the guitar
his teacher taught him
and where to place his fingers. After years of practicing, he was able to pick his guitar and play music without thinking about these steps.
without thinking about these steps, not this steps. Sounds like you're saying this singular plus steps plural, but I think it's more of a pronunciation issue than it is a grammar issue. Just remember this, that, these, those. So it's this, these, that, those.
After college, he stopped playing for years, but one day he found his old guitar and he was surprised that he still knew how to play guitars.
That he still knew how to play guitar. All right, so I think I gave you a score of, let me think about it. I said 24 to 26. I think that is pretty accurate. I'm not going to go 25 to 27 on this one. You did have a few minor language use issues, some minor delivery issues. Let's listen to your integrated task 4. So this is speaking, listening, academic. Here we go.
In the lecture, the professor explains the disadvantages of living in groups for animals and then gives 2 examples to further illustrate the idea.
Good intonation.
Animals, according to the professor, have many benefits of living in groups but also have many disadvantages. The first disadvantage is to be more visible to predators, to be more vulnerable to be captured by predators. And then she gives an example of sardines which live in groups, so they are more easily eaten by whales. The second disadvantage, according to the professor, is to be unable to give the proper care for young babies. And she gives an example of bats which are living in caves with millions of babies in the same cave. So the mother bat will be unable to feed her own babies and she will end up feeding other babies. In the lecture, the professor
Okay, I think it's pretty good. I'm going to listen to it one more time. I might uncover some things I might have missed the first time around, but I think overall, I think you have a pretty good response here. And looking over at the rubrics here, yeah, I'm going to say 25 to 27 on this thing. I think you might be right there, right about that 26 point, I think. Let's listen to it one more time.
Professor explains that in the lecture, the professor explains the disadvantages of living in groups for animals and then gives two examples to further illustrate the idea.
Good, perfect. So you got a good introduction. You're kind of showing the relationship between what was happening in the beginning of the lecture versus the examples after
Animals, according to the professor, have many benefits of living in groups, but also have many disadvantages. The first disadvantage is to be more visible to predators.
Just say the first advantage or the first disadvantage is that animals living in groups are more visible to predators. I would put animals living in groups to take that idea and connect it back to what you've already said.
To be more vulnerable to be captured by.
And you might say the first disadvantage is animals living in groups are more visible and thus more vulnerable to being captured by predators, something like that.
Predators. And then she gives an example of sardines, which live in groups, so they are more easily eaten by whales.
Okay, good.
The second disadvantage, according to the professor, is to be unable to give the proper care for young babies.
You might want to say the second disadvantage is that these group oriented animals are unable to blah blah blah.
And she gives an example of bats which are living in caves with millions of babies in the same cave, so the mother bat will be unable to feed her own babies and she will end up feeding other babies. In the lecture,
okay, so I think overall there's a few language use issues. Maybe you could have phrased or said it a little bit better, but overall I think you had a good, strong organization of ideas. Your delivery was clear. There weren't really any major problems there. So I think that you're making some progress with the delivery here. So we got it. These are the fours. So I'm going to say 25 to 27. So if I'm looking at... If I look at my notes here, and yeah, I'm going to say you probably have about a 50 to 60% chance of getting 26 or higher, I think. I think you're really, really close there. For example, if I look at practice test number 1, I'm going to put you at about 25 points. If I look at practice test 2, I'm going to say 26. If I look at practice test 3, I'm going to say 25. I look at practice test 4, I'm going to say 26. So you're really close there. I think you're getting there, buddy. Keep going. Now remember this week, keep doing some of that practice with thought groups and blending in the pronunciation area of my course. Right? This week, watch a lot of TV in English, listen to things in English, really expose yourself to a lot of English right now. You're getting ready. You got one shot. You're coming to the United States from Egypt. You're going to take the TOEFL exam. This is it, buddy. It all comes down to this. We can do this. You can do this. I know you can do this. Look at me here. This is your time. This is the time to finish the TOEFL. Finish the speaking section. You're going to get 29 to 30 in the writing. We know that. You can get 26 to 28 on the speaking. I feel good about this. You have to be confident. You can do this. All right?